Why this play now? Because one, we don't really see a lot of theatre, drama, stories told about British Muslims, but particularly for this age group, which is like the very young, first time you come to the theatre, you know, a 3-year-old with their family, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, seeing something that will then inspire them to come back and want to come to the theatre again and see more. And then just seeing on the stage, you know, oh, that person looks like me, because that's really so important, because growing up I didn't have that. And I know when I've taken work to schools as an actor, and I've seen any kind of South Asian boys or girls, they always look at me with this big smile, and, as if I know what they're saying is, oh, what's he doing here? He's one of us. We underestimate how important that is to a young person, to a child, seeing that. So the play is called Jabala and the Jinn. It's set in Bradford, and we've got a central character called Jabala. She's 6. She lives with her dad. Sadly, mum's passed away. And she makes friends at school with a refugee boy called Munir. Through the story, she discovers this voice, first of all, which later she realises is a jinn, which transports itself into human form. And through that, there's a discovery of friendship and loyalty and things like that. And it all culminates in at the end on the day of Eid.
I had in mind that she was just a sort of weird, enigmatic sort of being who brings herself into existence in human form, and for that, like, even the idea of having skin is something really new and bizarre to her, and everything's just fresh, and her only experience of the human world is things that she's seen, whether it's historically or right now. So she's around Jabala's family, and she sees everything that's happened, and she knows all about that stuff. But she's never actually been able to do it herself, and it makes her really curious and really feisty and energetic, and like because out of this skin she's so much more. And I guess the confines of having like a skeleton and flesh like would feel new to her. So she's everything just excites her, absolutely everything about the human world.
Jabala is 6 years old, and she's a Muslim girl living in Shipley in Bradford. She's a very enthusiastic, and she's bright, and she's very caring, and she loves everybody around her, and she's a bit bossy. And she's a typical young girl that just wants to play and have fun.
Munir is I think because he's from Yemen, is where we're at right now. And he's experienced loss in his life. However, the family, which consists of him and his mum, have decided, or kind of been forced to because of circumstances, to migrate, you know, and they found themselves over here. And they're just trying to get on with things, you know. And I think throughout that journey, he's witnessed a lot more than a child of that age usually has. So he's grown up very fast under them circumstances.
This story about Jabala and the Jinn is important now because there is no representation of a young Muslim girl in the theatre from that and the age range that we're actually aiming for. There is no representation, so it's a story that needs to be out there because there are lots and lots of Muslim children who do go to the theatre and would like to see somebody like them on stage and can relate to them.
To see something that resonates with you up on the stage, you know, it's a powerful thing, and you haven't really seen that many things that do relate to you on stage, you know, with characters that look like you, sound like you, and little Urdu words or Arabic words thrown in, you know, it's just something that draws an audience member in more.
I think that an audience of young people and their parents, when they walk in and they see their lives represented like that, through the text and the imagery and the characters, or they're introduced to new images and rituals and so on and so forth, can only be a gorgeous, beautiful feast.
So I've got a little 3-year-old boy called Nu, and yeah, I mean, there's two things really. I mean, at the moment he's got no idea what I do as a living. You know, I just go, Daddy just goes off and does something. I don't know what he does. He goes to work. But I'm thinking about the first time he would come to watch a play. What play would I introduce him to when it comes to theatre? Where would I take him? And if I saw this play, I would certainly take him to that. And another thing is, you know, slight worry that parents have, Muslim parents might have, worries about their kids and kind of the difficulties and obstacles they're going to face in school, through life, which have been set up since, you know, particularly since 9/11, and you know, the young generation are now going to live in that experience as well. So it's, in my mind I was thinking, oh, do I have this conversation with him? Do I prepare him for that?
It's about a voice, and a voice that we have in Bradford that isn't represented on the stage enough. There's a lot of, you know, television and theatre shows. When you think about Bradford, you think about working class people who are struggling, you know, or it might be Islamophobia, or it might be terrorism, you know, these kind of topics that are not in Jabala and the Jinn, and rightly so, because actually we have stories that we just want to tell. And it'd be nice to actually see a story where it's actually, that's a really cool, young, bright girl who is from Bradford, who loves her family and is in, you know, despite of obviously the fact that her mother's died and she's going through this grief, it's a character that you could be from Bradford, you could be from Birmingham, you could be from London, but you can all relate to her.
So there's a particular narrative that is, you know, we hear about Muslims at the moment from the media and, you know, from around us, any kind of stories, and everything that I write and create is always about changing that narrative, giving you a different version of that. Key themes in the play, definitely family, relationships, loss, and the kind of the seen and the unseen words. And then just like, a lot of it's just imagination, where you can go with your imagination, where a kid's imagination can go anywhere. But also, I really like comedy. You know, I've had a lot of experience in comedy, so I want to bring as much humour as I can to this as possible for that age range.
One thing that I find about doing projects like this, just in general, but obviously this in particular, is the pride I get, the absolute joy and pride I get from talking about my culture, my religion, my experiences with my culture and my religion, because people don't seem to want to know that. It just, as a performer, it just makes me so proud of my culture and my heritage, and it just makes me want to reinforce it even more. My religion means more to me than it ever possibly could have, because of the current climate in the world, because of the way people treat Muslims, and because of what's happening. It's just this constant rising tension. And I feel like as long as I can be a part of making sure that tension just does that, calming that storm and just being like, you know what, it's fine and it's all right and we're all human and we all make mistakes, and there's some really angry people out there, but there's also amazing people out there who are creating this kind of work, like Asif, like everyone I've been working with today. No matter what religion or race we are, we're here for the right reasons, and we're creating such beauty and wonder, and it's all through curiosity and wanting to know one another. And it's just like, just all of that, it bleeds into everything, and it just makes me so happy. Like, it makes me go home at the end of the day exhausted, but I'm like, what did we just achieve? Like, I can't even recount like what we just did throughout the day, because it was just so much, and just so much beautiful stuff came out of it.
Ultimately, if what I can achieve with this play is that this story is put on in Bradford and other places, but Bradford, you know, because it's my hometown, and there's a young person, 4 or 5-year-old, who comes to watch it from a British Muslim background, is inspired by it, enjoys it, laughs, is moved by it, feels like they've been represented, and maybe wants to get into theatre themselves, then there's not much you could want for than that.